Hey players, Rick here for Game Trade Media. We're here at the Alliance Open House, and we have Elle from Deepwater Games today.
Hello.
Hello, Elle. She is I'd like to call her a homegirl.
There we go. I can deal with that.
She's from Michigan, and I also am originally from Michigan, so we already have a connection. And in that connection, we're going to talk about some amazing games that you brought.
Yes.
Deepwater. Let's see what you got.
So I brought with me our two newest releases as far as games go. So Hanamikoji and Welcome to, both, well, technically premiering at Gen Con. We did a tiny little soft preview of Welcome to while we were at Origins, and we brought with us, oh my goodness, it was a mess. So we brought 100 copies with us, thinking, oh, we can go ahead and do 25 every single day. No one's ever heard of the title before. This is the first time we've ever been at Origins. Like, that feels like an appropriate premiere count.
Sure.
We were sold out by so doors opened at 10 a.m. We were sold out of each of those little bursts by about 10:02 a.m. every single day. I got to yell at grown men twice my size to please stop running in the hallways. So the reception of Welcome to was amazing at Origins. We brought way more with us at Gen Con, and we sold out there too.
Yeah, it was amazing. We would go by the booth. Johnny, I'm pointing over here. You guys can't see this, but Johnny, who's behind the camera, we went there and we grabbed a copy of it at Gen Con as well, and it was just like we had to like work through a crowd.
Oh,
where you guys
goodness.
were, not just because of where you guys were, because it was
We were right there by the bathrooms and concessions, so there's
but that
bound
wasn't
to
what
be.
it was. It was they were just swarmed on your guys'
Yep.
booth. It was amazing, and to hear that you guys sold out at Gen Con, I didn't know that is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, we were super happy.
So I can't pronounce this name.
Hanamikoji.
Hanamikoji. What is this game about?
So Hanamikoji is a two-player only title. One of the big things with our company is we wanted to make sure that we had games available to every play group.
Okay.
So for example, Hanamikoji is a two-player exclusive title. Welcome to is technically 1 to infinity players.
Nice.
So we have something available for any size play group. Hanamikoji is my personal favorite of all of our two-player titles because we have a few available. So in this game, you are in Kyoto and you are vying for the favor of 7 famous geisha.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
it's like a set collection game with a little bit of secret information, public information, where you are trying to play more cards than your opponent of each type of item that a geisha favors.
Okay. Very cool. Can we bust it open and take a look at some of this
absolutely.
artwork?
The artwork on it is beautiful.
Yeah, 'cause that
so
box
I would
art
love
alone
for
is
you to see it.
ridiculous.
Woo.
Oh, look at this. Show that right there to
So you have cards for the 7 different geisha, and then we have our favored deck. So each geisha is going to have a little number and color in the corner that indicates how many of their item is in the favor deck. So for
Okay.
example, this young lady would have 4 cards in the favor deck. Some of the geisha have 2 cards. Some of them have upwards of 5.
Okay.
And we know going into each round that the deck starts with that exact number of cards. So we start with a similar pool of information. And then we deal out some of the cards. We go ahead and discard 1 card from the deck, so there's a little bit of a secret guessing game going
All
on.
right.
And then we each have 4 different actions that we can take every single turn. So actions are going to be as simple as play 1 card face down, and at the very end of the round, you reveal it and place it in front of the appropriate geisha. Or as complex as play 4 of your cards from your hand in 2 piles of 2. You divide them as you choose. Your opponent then gets to keep 1 stack for themselves,
Interesting.
and then you get to keep the other stack for your geisha.
Nice.
We call that the fact or fiction because a lot of our staff members are also from the Magic the Gathering community. Yeah. But so every single round, you will get to take these 4 different actions. Once you've taken an action, you'll flip it upside down. You cannot take that action anymore for the rest of the round.
Oh, okay.
And the way the math works out is at the end of the round, we will all have played 10 cards apiece in front of our geisha, or 8 cards, pardon me, because one of the actions is discard 2.
Okay.
And then we'll each have played 8 different items in front of the geisha. 4 cards will be discarded. The 1 original card from the deck will also still be a secret. And then whichever player has played more items for a geisha will earn their favor for that round. If we have tied in card quantity, then the geisha will remain neutral.
Okay.
So at the end of the round, if you control either the favor of 4 different geisha or 11 points in total, then you have won the game. Otherwise, it goes on to another round. And then it becomes a bit of a tug-of-war game because I can still steal the favor from a geisha that you already control. So you have to decide going into the round, is it really important that I maintain the favor of the 3 geisha I have because I'm already really close to winning? Or do I need to aggressively try and steal from you because you're already ahead? So things become, despite the mechanics themselves being incredibly simple, play a card face down, discard 2 cards. The mechanics might be simple, but the actual interactive depth is off the charts.
Nice. Then, and the win condition is first person to 11 points wins.
Yep, 11 points or 4 separate geisha.
4 separate geisha.
Yep.
Nice.
It'll typically go 2 to 3 rounds, which makes for about a 10, maybe 15-minute game at most.
Okay.
Yep.
And like you said, that's what you guys are looking for, is a easy entry point into gaming.
Yes, absolutely. We've gotten, so that was absolutely our initial effort. Most of the very first wave of titles that we came out with are between 2 to 4 players, and they'll play between like 10 to 20 minutes. Our second wave of titles is a little more in depth. With that one, we introduced, for example, Roundhouse, which is definitely the heaviest title in our catalog. And that is a heavy Eurocentric worker placement title using 2 different rondels that you travel at the same time. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's the highest end. And then Hanamikoji is definitely like
mid to low.
Yeah, like you can learn it in 5 minutes and play it right out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I just learned it.
Yep,
in 5
exactly.
minutes. Yep. Now let's take a look at the other game you brought, which
welcome to
Johnny and I are huge fans of, and we're gonna get Leona on board with this one too. I played my first game last night, and
you loved it.
Well, I destroyed everybody.
I did too, my very first game. In fact, I think in my box right here, I have the very first town that I ever built. Because you never forget your first town.
Sure. I think my town will always be the same one. I'm just going to do expansions. I'm calling it Utopia Trailer Park.
There we go. Yeah. Mine was
the happiest
titled
place in the park.
Tinderville.
And
I maxed out the pools because I'm notorious for being very thirsty.
Wow.
That's definitely a running joke in the company.
That's pretty funny right there.
But yeah, with Welcome To, we are all playing as housing developers in the big old 1950s baby boomer housing industry boom. So I mentioned earlier that this one plays between 1 and infinity players.
Yes.
And that sounds outrageous, but you know, because you've played the game, just how actually viable that is.
Well, on the box it says 1 to 100, but that's only because the pad has 100 on it, right?
Exactly. The box comes with 100 blank pads. That being said, there is an app. In fact, you guys pulled it up for me ahead of time. There is a scorekeeping app, and on the back of the box, there's actually a little scanning spot that you can hit up, and that'll pull the app right up on your phone. But yeah, so it comes with 100 of the pads, and then we're going to have on our online store the ability to purchase more pads.
Cool.
But what we've done for our demo copies is we've gone ahead and laminated the pads, and then we just use dry erase markers so that people can play it infinitely. But the way that the game works is every single player is going to start out with one of these blank neighborhood sheets where you will be able to name your town, and then you'll be able to see the 3 different streets you're building houses on, and then the bottom of the sheet is used for scoring mechanics. Every single turn, you're going to have 3 different houses that you can pick from to build in your neighborhood. So every single house is going to have a street number between 1 and 15. Quantities are on a bell curve, so you're going to see a lot of 7, 8, 9, and very few 1s and 15s. This is relevant because when you're building your neighborhood, your street addresses do have to go up in number. The mailman would lose his mind if house numbers were out of order, and the same applies to your neighborhood. You can skip addresses, so you can build like 1, 3, 4, 5, but at the end of the day, it does have to go up, and each street's house numbers are going to be dealt with separately. So
Okay.
just because I have one right here doesn't mean I can't build one on one of these
Sure.
other streets. So every single turn, you'll have 3 different houses to build. They'll have a different street address, and they'll have a different action. Action associated with them. So for example, this 7 right here, I could go ahead and probably, like I mentioned, 1 through 15 bell curve. I would probably want to build that close to the middle of my neighborhood. So with this one, I could build, for example, the 7 right here, and then I would take the associated action underneath the house that I've picked this turn. So for example, with this 7, that's the landscaping icon, which means once I've built my house, I go to the street I built it on, and I'm going to go ahead and cross out the lowest number still revealed on that street's landscaping track. And at the end of the game, I'll receive points for the lowest score still showing. So for example, if on this street I build 3 different landscaping houses over the course of the game, it's a little hard to see on the camera here, but it shows I'll get 10 points for that street at the end of the game. For example, this one right here, if I built this 11 and has the pool action associated with it. So if I built this house on a location that has a pool graphic in its backyard, I can circle the pool and show that I built a pool on that house. Pools are dealt with exponentially as far as points go. So the further in I go, the more points and the higher reward I'm going to get. So all the different mechanics have different scoring systems. I love exponential point systems. For example, in 7 Wonders, the science mechanic, I always go hard in the paint on that. So inherently, I go really hard on pools whenever I play Welcome To. People call me out on it all the time. So you're going to have, exponential point systems. Construction, for example, is a different scoring mechanic you can get where construction allows you to increase or decrease the street address by up to 2. And then every single time you pick a construction card, you're going to cross off a spot on the construction tract. And at the end of the game, whoever did the most construction will get 7 bonus points. The second most will get 4 bonus points. Third most will get 1 bonus point. So that's a kind of winner takes all sort of system. So there are lots of there are 6 different mechanics that provide you with lots of different ways to end up with the highest scoring neighborhood. And at the end of the game, whichever player has the highest scoring neighborhood wins.
I like it. Can I see the top of the box?
Absolutely.
So show everybody this amazing artwork. All the art is really good on this, but this box art is just phenomenal and is totally reminiscent of the 1950s advertisement pieces that you would have seen
absolutely.
out on in billboards and everything. And you see like the welcome sign there is just, again, a beautiful throwback to that era. And it's a lot of fun. The second game we played last night, I scored 80.
Ooh.
On the game. I was wrecking house.
Yeah, what did I get on mine right there? Yeah, 89. I think the highest I've seen is probably around like 113, 114. But like those were games where they like very intimately knew the mechanics of the game and like also let it go a long time. Because there are a few different ways you can initiate the end of the game. But the one that's going to net you the most points is you end the game if you've filled in every single house. Okay. So if that ends up being your end game condition, then you'll definitely have a chance to maximize.
So can you announce that at the beginning of the game? Like the only way the end game for this one will be we have to hit every house?
You can try and drag things out. Of course you're allowed to set house rules, certainly. But that's one of the ways that you can trigger the end of the game. There are a couple of others. For example, permit refusals. If during a turn you look at the different houses available and you cannot use or build any of them, then you get a permit refusal. So these red spots on the score sheet, these are all going to be things that subtract points from your total at the end of the game. So for example, with the permit refusal, the first one is free. The second one's going to lose you 3 points at the end of the game, and the last one's going to lose you 5 points. And if you get 3 building refusal permits, then that begins the end of the game. So that's one way the game can end. Another way is if somebody builds every single house. There is one other aspect of the game that I haven't mentioned yet. And I think it's actually in
right
that
here.
box right here.
Build increments?
Yes, exactly. Every single game, there are going to be 3 different objectives. The first player to reach that objective is going to get a large amount of points. And then, so for example, the first player to reach this objective is going to get 7 points. After that, it gets flipped over, and every player afterwards would only get 3 points. So another way to end the game is to complete all 3 of those objectives as well. And as soon as one player has completed all 3, and it doesn't matter if they were the first to complete all 3, just finishing all 3 in general is also going to initiate the end of the game.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Did you guys never hit that point?
No, we did.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just interesting because if one of the things that I think we may have done wrong is we had all of them done, but not anybody in particular had all 3 done.
Okay, gotcha. So the game wouldn't have ended in that case. It's if one player ever achieves all 3
okay,
themselves.
All right. Okay, then we did it right. All right.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Johnny, for. Very cool. Well, Elle, thank you so much for bringing these out and showing us.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
And this is going to be available when at the store?
So this comes out September 19th.
Okay.
Hanamikoji, which I already showed, released for retailers a couple of weeks ago.
Okay,
so that one's like super fresh, and Welcome To is going to be available in a couple of weeks.
Nice.
And then we are already working on getting another print run done before the holiday season. So even if this blows up in the next couple of weeks and we sell out, we will have titles available again in time for Christmas.
Nice. Very cool. Now, I also noticed you brought a couple play mats. What are those for?
So we have 2 different play mats that we just introduced for purchase. So we have had 2 different Kickstarters so far. We have one for herbalism, which was our part of our very first games released, definitely like the baby of the company. So Nolan, the CEO, who is also previously a board game artist that some of you might be familiar with, for example, he did Spirit Island. That's one of the big ones. He was on that art staff. But Nolan is our CEO, and inherently, given his affinity for artwork, we go to him for design stuff. So he designed a playmat for our title, Herbalism, which is a 2 to 4 player game with lots of secret information and card counting. So this is now available on our website, Deepwater Gaming, and this runs $20.
Nice.
And then, so this one's very pretty, very simple, very minimalist, and we just reintroduced that one. It was available through our Kickstarter, and this is the first time they're ever available for purchase outside of that. And then our other playmat right here, this bad boy runs $30, but this is for our second Kickstarter title, Mystery of the Temples. Mystery of the Temples is a mixture of worker placement. You're going around another rondel board here as a curse catcher, building up resources so that you can eliminate the curses on the 5 different temples. So as everyone who's ever played a circle-based game knows, they can be a little hard to keep clean and pretty on your play space. So I think this is one of the perfect titles to actually have a playmat for in the first place. And Nolan went ahead and included on there some of like the info card. Exactly. Information so that it's just public space instead.
Nice.
But yeah. We've gone ahead and introduced these. This one runs $30, Herbalism's $20, and those are available for purchase right now as well.
Very cool. Yeah. That's a lot of cool stuff coming out of you guys.
I agree.
I love it. So if you guys want to follow Deepwater Games, you already mentioned it's deepwatergaming.com.
Deepwatergaming.com, and otherwise we're Deepwater Games on pretty much all social media. Otherwise, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Awesome. And we will see you. I'm Rick, by the way, just in case you forgot. This is Elle, and we'll see you at the game store.
Thanks for watching Game Trade Media. Make sure to leave us a like and click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new content.